5-a-day language review week 1. Is it a dangling or misplaced modifier? We'll learn this week in class. This is a misplaced modifier. A modifier is a word or phrase that gives more information to a sentence, provides more information. It typically attaches to a noun or subject type word. So in this case, we have hungry after being in class all morning. We know this is a phrase because of our two rules. Is it an independent clause? Is it a sentence? Can it stand on its own? If not, it's a phrase. Number 1, does it have a subject, noun, and verb? Nope. Number 2, does it express a complete thought? Nope. So it fails on both of those. We know it's a phrase, does not have a noun, does not have a verb, does not express a complete thought. So that simply means it's information that attaches to another word in the sentence. In this case, who's hungry? Who was in class all morning? Obviously, it's the students. Now, the problem with the way this sentence is written is students is all the way here at the end. So as you're reading this, or if you're a listener and you're listening to this in real time, you're processing the information in real time as hungry after being in class all morning, and then the next thing you hit is the cafeteria. The cafeteria was filled with students. So you have that sort of pause or sort of that moment where you're just like, wait a minute. And you can quickly unpack this and fix it and make sense of it as a native English speaker. But as writers and as speakers, but we're focusing on writing right now, so let's just talk about writing. In writing, we don't want to create extra work for our readers. We want to present information that is clear and concise and precise, okay? So the way we do that is through the arrangement of the information in part, not only the content of the information, but how it's arranged. So students, if all of this is a phrase that modifies this word students, then we don't want it to be at the end of the sentence. We want it to be right next to the thing that is modifying it. So let's move students right here, and then we can have a sentence like, hungry after being in class all morning, the students filled the cafeteria. You're going to have to rearrange verbs, and you're going to have to rearrange other words potentially in the sentence. Keep the information. You still need to have the cafeteria. You still need to have the students and the verb filled, but just rearrange it in a way that makes sense. So two tips on this. Number 1 is don't ever add any information here. So a lot of you guys were just adding information. Don't delete any information. We still need to know that it was students who filled the cafeteria, they were hungry, and they were in class all morning. We still need to retain all that information, but we simply fix this by moving students to right next to that phrase that's modifying it. And I think that was one of the handful of the things that you guys struggled with. Connotation, again, it can be positive, negative, or neutral. I think you guys mostly got that. That's positive, that's negative, that's kind of neutral. Number 3, anytime you see the word means, you have it triggers you wanting to grab your dictionary or Google the word. I understand that. Hey, seething means, let's Google it. Let's pull out the dictionary or the thesaurus. But in this case, we don't want to do that because the whole point of number 3 on Monday Language Review is context. So it's helping you train your ability to recognize how words, or to understand or make sense of words based on the context that they're in. So we can look at a word like seething and we can see that it's surrounded by words like rage and explode and matter of time, and outwardly they appear to be calm and friendly. So that's giving us this indication that there's something inside of them that's about to burst out, and that thing inside is a negative thing that's related potentially to rage. So seething is defined as sort of a feeling of anger or being upset that's not shown. It's concealed. It's hidden. But it's about ready to blow up. Synonym for dynamic, changing. You could also say complex. Impolite, you guys nailed that. You guys have been doing Latin. We understand politely is how to break that word down. I think everybody got that. The one rule that I'll add for Tuesday, number 1, when we eliminate wordiness and redundancy. Redundancy is giving the information, the same information more than once, and wordiness is just more information that is needed to explain whatever idea. Remember, communication is about outcomes in the real world. You can certainly achieve the outcome of communication of an idea by being wordy and redundant. It just takes longer. So learn how to, and we'll get skilled at learning what words we can eliminate. When you do this, just use your best judgment as to whether you can eliminate something like safety, and you could just call them city inspectors, or maybe eliminate city and you could call them safety inspectors, or maybe both, just simply inspectors, because it makes it clear, maybe, or the context makes it clear that they're reviewing. You don't have to say in the process of, because anytime something's currently happening or anytime something's being reviewed, it's understood that it's in the process of. And you probably want to eliminate words like about. Just say 2 to 3 days. City or inspectors or currently reviewing, or you don't even need currently, you could get rid of that too. Inspectors are reviewing the construction site and may, just forget about completely, just say close it down. Completely is just more information than we really need there, and may close it down in 2 to 3 days. So those are words that you can eliminate. Again, based on context, you might argue that you need to include one or both of these, but use your best judgment on that, and I'll certainly give you credit for erring on one side or the other as long as it's clear that you're eliminating the words that aren't really necessary. Misspelled word is accomplishment. It seems like you live your life like a candle in the wind is a simile. It means that you're fleeting or you're not really solid. Around the corner is, let's give it the test. Does it have a noun or a verb that serves as a noun that serves as a subject and a verb? No, it doesn't. Does it express a complete thought? No, it doesn't. That means it is a phrase. It's a phrase that modifies something over here that's an independent clause that we can't see, maybe around the corner, comma, the cat was ready to pounce on the mouse, something like that. So it is a phrase. It's obviously dependent on something else. It's a dependent clause that needs an independent clause over here. All right, moving on. Just look up these words each week. We're not going to spend a lot of time on definition. It's pretty straightforward. Just look up the word. This is the moment, unlike up here, where I don't want you to look up the word. So I'm going to say, don't look it up here, but here, do look it up. Check. Get your dictionary out. And look up this word. And then for this one, and just write it down. And also for the 5 other words that contain this root or affix, I want you can just use ChatGPT or Google for this and just give me your doctor, your indoctrinate, and all those kind of words. Number 3, which of the following might someone be persecuted for? Be careful. A lot of times they'll try to trick you. This is persecuted, not prosecuted. Persecuted means being treated disfavorably based on what you believe, like a religious belief, or you're being a part of a certain ethnic group. So in this case, persecuted might be something that would happen to someone that has a different belief system or that belongs to a particular ethnicity. 4 commas. However, comma, he was a spoiled, obstinate child. These spoiled and obstinate are coordinate adjectives. They can go either way. So if that's the case, we use commas here. It could be spoiled and obstinate child, or we could rearrange this to say obstinate spoiled child. In that case, we call these coordinate adjectives, which is this word here. That means they need a comma. Choose an antonym for the following. Divulge. Its synonym is disclose, so it's not that. Encourage, no. Pretend, no. Conceal. Divulge, the opposite meaning of it is to conceal. Conceal means to hide. Divulge means to make known. Most people would just gawk in disbelief. It is ostentatious clothes. So come back up here, the word. We're looking for a negative connotation word. That was negative. So we want to go ahead and throw that in there. Or negative connotation word, because we're talking about disbelief, and gawk is a negative word. Okay, now our question about coordinated adjectives. We'll have a lecture on this later. The kind, compassionate students raise money for the animal shelter. There's a comma there because they, just like this one here, or coordinated adjectives. You can say the kind and compassionate students. You can say the compassionate, kind students. Either one works. Lofty, we have this idea of feeling inferior, which means we have a totem pole where one is high and one is low. One definition here talks about superior attitude. That means high. So number 3, lofty means showing a superior attitude. She has a lofty way of speaking that made others feel inferior. It's the way her attitude comes across. Not noble. That's negative, or that's a positive connotation anyway. And high or tall just is like physical objects like trees. Number 4, we went to the movies last night, comma, and we really enjoyed it. This is a compound sentence. We see our fanboy here in 2 independent clauses, so you know that that is a compound sentence. Remember, the fanboys just give more information. It's like a signal word that relates to cause and effect. We really enjoyed it. We did this, and the result was this. We went to the movies last night, and the result was we really enjoyed it. Last but not least, analogy. Ravenous is an extreme form of hunger. Fascinating, similarly, is an extreme form of interesting. Firm and hard are basically synonyms. Serious and grave are essentially synonyms. Strange and odd basically mean the same thing. But fascinating is in a more extreme version of being interested. I'm not just interested in something, I'm fascinated in it. That is Language Review Week 1 in the books.